Might not be over, Nia, because the president, he posted this just before Kimmel's show aired last night. He said, why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democratic garbage? He is yet another arm of the DNC. To the best of my knowledge, that would be a major illegal campaign contribution, and this is key here. I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. The $16 million referring to a suit that was settled before it got to court against ABC News and George Stephanopoulos.
That's right. Listen, and we know that this is a president who loves lawsuits. He has had some success, as he reminds us over and over with ABC and with CBS too. We know that his FCC chair has talked about this idea of this equal time doctrine, and should it apply to a show like The View? And so this is something that it's shocking that we're in a moment where the president of the United States is concerned about what a late night comedian is saying, but he is so thin-skinned, right? And he wants to make the culture cheer for him and reflect what he wants to say and what MAGA wants them to say. So we are here, and while this is a good moment for free speech, Jimmy Kimmel coming back in the way that he did, I think this is going to be an ongoing story because of who the president is and because of who he surrounded himself with.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an important point, Nia, about the culture, because that is one of the many huge things that we have seen change between Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0, that he is very aggressively not dragging his culture out into the public, but I would say a lot of people who support him are much more emboldened to be part of the more traditional cultural discourse.
There has been a dramatic swing in the pendulum from how things were, the environment, I think, on a day-to-day basis inside culture in the United States from the first term to now. And I think that's critical to understanding this moment, the authority that the president is attempting to utilize right now, and his ability to not just secure a $16 million settlement in something that I don't think any broadcast network would have even considered 10 years ago, but also why that emboldens him to keep pushing for more. And I think we've seen it over the course of the last 8 months. The administration, the president, his top advisors, their willingness to challenge kind of general parameters or restraints that most people would never even consider, they hadn't even considered, maybe aspirationally in the first term. They're not only willing to challenge them, they're willing to push over the line repeatedly and see how far they can go. And I think it's an informative moment for businesses who are also facing a very different environment right now.
Businesses, law firms,
yes,
across the board.
And trying to figure out from a business perspective, is it worth a fight here? In the first term, the answer was always yes, without fail. They knew they had support and public support. This time, it has been a very different moment, and I think that camel's nose under the tent from those initial settlements is now being borne out.
Or whether or not this is these media companies pushing the camel's nose back outside the tent. And that is a big question about Bob Iger, whether or not, no, he didn't stand up the first time, whether or not he is this time, and the pressure that he was under. Yes, most of the pressure came from people on the coasts, but it wasn't just people who are maybe more liberal leaning in Hollywood. It's also some of the most conservative Americans who say this is about free speech. But the question again is what really happened? Listen to our friend Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher on their podcast.
Because what happened here was they started getting, actors probably called and said, I'm not going to work with Disney. They saw thousands of screenshots being sent to them saying, okay, I'm canceling Hulu. This was about money.
Jeff?
Well, look, I mean, that sort of lays bare what was happening in the run-up to Jimmy Kimmel returning. So many cancellations of Disney Plus and Hulu. So what I'm watching for next is what does Brendan Carr at the FCC do? What happens next with The View, to your point? And yes, Jimmy Kimmel was on last night, but he was not shown in pretty broad swaths of America.
Wasn't shown here in Washington.
Every place there is a Sinclair or Nexstar station. We will see if the other station groups, what side they sort of take going forward. But going forward, I mean, to hear Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, pretty lonely Republican voices out there. If this continues, if this goes deeper, the White House clearly wants to take this deeper. President Trump wants to make this a fight. It animates his base, there's no doubt about it. It provides a bit of a distraction, some from other challenges he's facing, which are many, many. But to me, what does the FCC do from here? The idea of a station licenses being discussed. It hasn't been discussed since the Nixon era. Will that continue, or is this sort of a one and done and the White House kind of moves on? I think that President Trump likes this fight that he's in, and he has a very friendly FCC and an FCC commissioner.
That's right. And listen, it is a test of sort of where the culture is. Where is the money? Is it on the right? Is it on the left? And here it was sort of, you know, ABC at first was saying, well, there's the sort of the money and the pressure and the culture is moving to the right. And then there was this backlash. Some of it was from Hollywood and some of it was from people like Ted Cruz. And so this is a real moment. I mean, this is a president who came into office and
And many households across America were unable to watch Kimmel's return last night. Nexstar and Sinclair, two major TV station owners who together account for roughly 70 ABC affiliates in the U.S., continued to preempt the late night show, despite Disney bringing it back nationally. Both groups are also pursuing major business moves that would require FCC approval. Sinclair is exploring merger options, while Nexstar is trying to close a $6.2 billion merger with another big station owner, Tegna. Meanwhile, about an hour before last night's broadcast, President Trump took to social media to rail against Kimmel's return and issue a threat to ABC. The president posted in part, quote, "The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. Kimmel is yet another arm of the DNC. And to the best of my knowledge, that would be a major illegal campaign contribution. I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative."
Well, you know, the last time they gave $16 million, there were attorneys on both sides saying this could go either way. Nobody would say that banning a late night host or trying to ban a late night host actually would again be a proper way to go forward. I just wonder how many of these lawsuits that get thrown out is he going to do? At what point does he understand this only makes him look like a loser?
His appetite for these seem pretty endless right now.
Yeah, I mean, New York Times thrown out. Because of a stupid, I don't know, 80, 90-page, pleading, calling, Donald Trump basically everything short of His Majesty. I mean, how much longer? How much longer with the threats?
Yeah, the judge in that case noted that the actual complaint didn't come till page 80 of that thing, and he threw the whole thing out. He said it was nonsense and a waste of time. I mean, this you would think would be too, but I think the underlying message here is, first of all, per my reporting, no one at ABC communicated to the White House that the show was canceled, that simply it was off the air indefinitely. That was the statement that ABC put out publicly. We don't know if there's a private conversation the president's alluding to, but certainly we have not uncovered that was the case.
Where does this come from? He grew up watching late-night comedians make fun of Richard Nixon. He grew up watching late-night comedians make fun of Jimmy Carter, make fun of Ronald Reagan, just unmercifully made fun of Ronald Reagan for 8 years, made fun of George H.W. Bush. I could go to Bill Clinton, my God.
I mean, he himself made fun of people.
That has happened every year over the past half century.
Of course.
So why does he think that things change today for him? They don't.
No, they don't. David Letterman gave an interview the other day in which he noted he went after every president while he was in office, Republican, while he was in his job, Republican or Democrat. No one once tried to stop him. They complained, of course. They publicly joked about it, but no one even lifted a finger to try to stop him. But President Trump has shown time and time again how how thin his skin is. We know when he was a guest at the Correspondents' Dinner 15-odd years back that was certainly, he was at the butt of those jokes, didn't like it. This is the same tactic where he complains about fake news. If it's something negative, he goes after it and suggests that the person who wrote it, reported it, said it, shouldn't have the right to do that. That is a threat to free speech. That the post last night before Kimmel went on air, Willie, can only be perceived as a threat to free speech. And again, him suggesting he's going to use the levers of government to go after his foes. We have seen that over the weekend, directing the Attorney General to go after political foes. And in this case, it would sure seem to be the FCC or others and the nonsensical claim about the DNC to go after his foes in the media, too.
And suggesting in that post that Kimmel's part of some Democratic Party conspiracy, making a link. Again, we've talked about when the shoe's on the other foot. Do you want these rules to apply when Democrats are in power? Should they go after Fox News hosts that they believe are in concert with Republicans? You can see where that would go. And to your point about thin skin, Donald Trump is aware of all those past comedians, but he wasn't the butt of those jokes. And now it's about him, and he doesn't like that.
Donald Trump is going to keep trying to do this. I don't think he's going to be ultimately successful, but we do have to remember, we covered this briefly yesterday in some of our videos, where the show has been removed again, right? Like, there was this, remember the narrative? It went, Jimmy was on TV last week, gets canceled basically everywhere. Then the narrative, at least right at the instance, was he's back. But then it became quick that a lot of individual channels are not bringing him back. Like, it's almost like there was another partial cancellation again, spurred on by the same sort of ideology that drove the first total wave, right? That you had individual ABC affiliates say, we're not bringing him back. And a lot of them seem to be owned by more conservative, at least probably in general, pro-MAGA, pro-Republican, pro-Trump voices, saying we're not going to bring him back again until he meets our particular demands, including a groveling apology to Kirk, a groveling apology to Trump, I assume. I remember some of them demanding that he make a donate, basically he pay a bribe fee, right? To Charlie Kirk's organization. So let's be clear. The victory of free speech was an important one for Kimmel, but it was not a total one. He is on less TVs now, less channels now, less airwaves now than he was last week, 7-8 days ago, right? More than he was 5 days ago, but less than he was 7 or 8 days ago, right? And that is concerning. This has happened in American history before. People have mentioned this, that, for example, when Sesame Street talked about integration, because it's that old of a show, it wasn't aired in some areas. I know that, I think Mr. Rogers got pulled in some areas. I know that the show Arthur, when I was a younger, this was when I was a little bit older, but a show I watched growing up, when Arthur had an episode where they showed a non-straight couple, a child had two moms, that was not aired in certain PBS local stations in, Republican areas. So this isn't new. But it's part of a broad anti-speech history that Kimmel is pushing back against.